Far away from the madness of Wall Street, a chain of small towns lie nestled along the meandering path of the St. Joseph River in northern Indiana, just miles from the Michigan border. The economic backbone of heavy industry and manufacturing is now severely slouched, and times are particularly tough, with unemployment rates nearing 10%, among the highest in the country. It is here where many in this community turn to a successful businessman, prominent contributor to the local parish, and trusted friend for generations for help when they fell on economic hard times. Thomas Squibb and his wife Marietta became pillars of the community. Most people living here couldn't say enough good things about them, especially about Tom.
They thought the sun rose and set on Tom Squibb.
He got a good reputation in those church and social communities that he was frequenting. A good reputation, but a false reputation.
Turns out, there's a whole different story behind their so-called generosity, and it was about to ruin futures and bankrupt friends.
When you go after and you take money away from the guy that was in your wedding, your best man, you drain him, you drain your neighbors, that's really a mean streak.
Let me tell you how it all got started. Going back more than 10 years, Thomas started telling his closest associates and friends about a fantastic investment opportunity. The story they heard was that 8 to 10 select people were invited to invest in a KOA campground development in Michigan, as well as yet-to-be-built condos in Florida. A surefire deal that would begin producing immediate interest payments of as high as 48%. The real story was that over 100 people, mostly from small Midwestern towns like Mishawaka and Granger, Indiana, lost more than $13 million. The trusted couple began scamming their dearest friends from 1993 to 2005 before anybody caught on.
These are people that all their life they have known you, they've trusted you, a significant amount of trust, and you violated that trust.
Not one KOA campground or a single Florida condo was ever built. As it turns out, the Squibbs were selling an empty dream. The whereabouts of more than $3 million of the investors' hard-earned money, still a mystery. But just how did so many friends of the Squibbs get taken? And why did it take so long for the scam to be discovered?
You don't really expect someone in their 70s to be defrauding people. I mean, you can't be the nice grandparent-grandfather image and yet basically be a crook.
It is a huge Ponzi scheme that you take money from later investors to pay off earlier ones. And to those earlier investors, everything looks okay.
State investigators were contacted as soon as investors stopped receiving their so-called interest payments. After doing the simple research usually required by anyone who's considering a new investment, they found absolutely nothing real behind the opportunity. Just an all-too-familiar story.
Had they called our office to say, hey, this man's offering me this great deal, is this legal? You know, we could have said, they're not registered to do it, the notes aren't registered, and don't invest with the guy on the street.
But you see, by promising as much as 48% interest, the Squibbs could keep their scam alive for more than 10 years. Some of those early investors did get high interest payments, but only so the Squibbs could attract new investors.
And the way most of those investors got involved, they knew somebody else. And in turn, those people recommended this investment.
But when the economy slows down and losses start to be taken, and as people get hurt and start checking their records more closely and talking with us and talking with others, they realize that they've been taken.
And the investors were taken all right, eagerly handing the Squibbs checks from as low as $5,000 up to several $100,000, until it all blew up in 2007 with the arrest of Tom and Marietta Squibb.
Just because that person was referred to by a friend or family member doesn't mean it's okay. You have to painstakingly, with tremendous discipline, get third-party objective information about the investment and the person doing the investing.
A device even the most savvy of investors sometimes ignore, as proven by the multi-billion-dollar granddaddy of all affinity frauds we all know now as the Madoff Ponzi scheme. And just as in that disastrous fraud, even after the criminals have been exposed, most victims won't see the bulk of their money anytime soon.
Basically, right up front, we tell most of our victims that are reporting stuff is the money's probably gone.
So, what is the difference between a Thomas Squibb and a Bernie Madoff?
There's more money in New York than there is in South Bend. And they both went after close associates, friends, relatives, and they both came up with schemes that were basically uncheckable.
While the victims continue to wonder how to recoup their investments, the Indiana Special Prosecution Assistance Unit has seen their fraud caseloads escalate as people become desperate looking for easy retirement money in a tough economy. Thomas Squibb died while serving his first year of a 17-and-a-half-year prison sentence. His wife Marietta continues to serve her 8-year sentence in a federal correctional institution in Illinois. She's up for parole within the next few years. All told, more than $20 million was scammed by the elderly couple. They were able to live very comfortably for more than a decade. Meanwhile, investigators continue searching for the $3 million that is still missing.
The Squibbs had prepared well, where things were well hidden or placed somewhere that we wouldn't be able to identify them to take.